in there without Song of Storm using glitches, so that kind of like opens up a lot of different things. And we see both of them
seem to have been, yeah. Let's see.
So just a rundown of what the runners are going to be doing here. This goes by no I am wrong rules for glitches. I am referring to item manipulation. So basically anything that puts a bottle on, or anything that puts anything other than your sword on B, that lets you get items early.
Or affects counts of anything in your inventory, or puts stuff in inventory that's not supposed to be in those places. Basically, I mean, it's just as it entails, it's item manipulation. Getting the slingshot from the chest puts Deku Tree immediately in logic, which I would assume everybody would kind of go for at this point, or after they get Kakariko first checks.
Yeah, and an early Weird Egg makes it so that they can basically head straight and do Zelda and basically have a normal opening to this seed, possibly, if they chose. But yeah, we'll have to see, because both of them are going to basically meet up right here, and we'll see who decides to go maybe Deku Tree and who decides to... I think the normal opening for most seeds is you just go straight to Hyrule Castle. But I think if I were playing this seed, getting 99 rupees to start off with, as well as the slingshot, just tells me that like I can go and buy a Deku Shield, I can go buy 6 or 7 sticks, and go through Deku Tree just fine.
At this point, regardless of whether or not Deku Tree is a stone or a medallion dungeon, it's just good enough to check while you're already here in the forest and have the means to...
Yeah, because a big way that randomizer logic works is that these sphere 0 checks, these checks that you can accomplish without buying anything or without picking up any items, so like the first couple of checks in Deku Tree, those are weighted really strongly for having like progression. Dave's gonna go get ISG off the soil patch. Glitchy's just gonna get it off the Deku Babas, and they're going to use those to farm a couple of sticks so they don't have to go and buy as many themselves.
For those of you who don't know, ISG stands for Infinite Sword Glitch, basically obtained by interrupting a crouch stab with some kind of text box, or in some cases even cutscenes I've seen, and I know in Multi-World, if you time it right, if somebody gets an item interrupted with the text box, you can actually get ISG off of it. But it causes the game not to set the flag that you're no longer swinging your sword, and your sword just perpetually swings, causing that kind of trail motion, which is even more prominent on Randomizer, where you have like the lightsaber trails and colorful settings.
Yeah, that's going to be the coolest thing, I think, about people using ISG with sticks, is that you'll be able to see those lightsaber trails going around. And we got Deku Trees on the way, the hero hint. So
definitely,
you know, they're right. Yeah, so a big thing that we'll probably see them in here is that, well, Glitchy's just going to go and you beat this Deku Baba and get a nut that way. But you can use ISG to save yourself stick counts. Another way to save sticks is by getting Broken Stick, which if you hit like a wall with your stick and you hit the ground afterwards, you'll break your stick in half, but you'll still be able to swing that half stick. And that's used a lot in like the glitchless randomizer, because it lets you just basically get the most out of one stick's life.
We should be seeing that coming up on the Gohma fight. Is very popular to use on Gohma fight, just not to waste English is hard.
Absolutely. Another thing that they decided, or that the racers decided to do for this tournament, is that chests will kind of indicate what's going to be inside by the size of the chest. So small chests aren't necessarily going to have anything important, whereas big chests will always have something that's like considered a major item. As well as we have dungeon skull sanity, so even the small chests could have skulltula tokens, and the big skulltulas could have items on them.
For those curious, I will be posting a link to the rule set, just a screenshot of the rule set. Please don't ban me, mods.
But yeah, so far we haven't seen any big chests in here. There might be one in this room, or it could be that the important item is on Gohma with Slingshot so early in the seed. It is in logic to do the full Deku Tree clear, whereas most runners would actually like end up doing it anyway because B1 skip is such an easy thing to do, and full clearing like Deku Tree is relatively painless early on. Oh, and there we go. Boomerang is in the Deku Tree.
Now that's either going to kind of logically point towards either Jabu-Jabu, which is kind of the more obvious one, or also Child Side of Spirit. I believe Boomerang is needed for that to be.
Yeah, I think logic also allows you to do that with a slingshot. It's definitely less fun, and the Stalfos there can heck you up a lot more. But either way, I think that's a good early check and an early hook shot too.
Wow.
Oh no, it's a bait. Oh no.
Oh, walking out of water right after you get right after you get a fool is one of those feelings you don't ever want to do. But that is the true Goron bracelet.
Yeah, with the live standing models now, it's so easy to get baited on things that you really want, and it just draws you in and shoots you down.
Glitchymon and Dave now both performing B1 skip. Dave at critical health, not the best thing you want to see. But B1 skip just skips a couple of pointless rooms that require the slingshot. It's nice if you're doing Deku Tree slingshotless, and saves time overall because there are no checks in that room. So generally you will always see that, and I believe it's loud and accessible as well as I am wrong.
Yeah, the water spot froze them there because they went and picked up what they thought was a hook shot, but standing models could also be a trap, like an ice trap. It's something that they added very recently with 3.x dev build 4.0. So yeah, we see Glitchy setting up Broken Stick. You just kind of backflip off a wall, do a roll towards the wall, and then jump slash with a stick. That'll break it in half for you so that you can keep using that stick. So long as you have 2 sticks in your inventory, that'll work. If you break your last stick, even with like the broken stick in your hands, you can't swing it because the game thinks you have no sticks. Something to remember.
Yeah, I've gotten trolled right about at this fight, realizing that I only have 1 stick left and I can't break it, and I also can't beat Gohma with it. Never a good thing. Never a good feeling to have to exit Deku, go get a stick, and come back.
Yeah, but both runners seem to be having no problem clearing out Deku Tree. Pretty much neck and neck. Both deciding to get Broken Stick.
And so we have our first medallion by Glitchymon.
It's really a very nice early start. I think one of the biggest things is that we see Glitchy trying to do it there, but once you like pick up your first set of Bombchus are considered in logic, and so we'll start to see runners like really start to break the game once they pick up Bombchus, because it opens up for all sorts of different like mega flips and big sequence breaks. But you can't buy them until you find the first one out there.
Glitchy's gonna head right for Hyrule Castle, showing off there with the inverted camera. That is a 2-time frame perfect trick right there. It's pretty cool. It just inverts the camera.
Yeah, I watch Glitchy do No I Am Wrong warp runs, and he just likes to swag everywhere with inverted camera. But yeah, one of the typical openings is to go around. One of the things they changed in Randomizer is that you can do child fishing without the Kakiri sword. So a lot of runners will choose to go around Gerudo Valley and hit up Lake Hylia before coming to the castle. Glitchy's choosing to go straight for the castle. I've seen it done both ways.
Oh, child shooting gallery. Interesting. Usually runners try and put that off for a good portion. Probably coming to Hyrule Castle because they got the weird egg so early. They think maybe the logic's hinting towards it.
Yeah, one of the nice things with child shooting galleries, you can do it with or without the slingshot. For whatever reason, I guess they didn't program that you needed slingshot to do this game. Probably because they never expected you to leave the forest without the slingshot in the first place. So.
Picking up an adult wallet, not really a necessary way of the hero, unless I believe some tunic trickery, but definitely a quality.
Yeah, child fishing was changed on all random modes. It's just something that was a logic change for Randomizer in general.
Here you can see Glitchymon showing off that ISG. Got ISG from talking to Malon. Using that instead of breaking a stick on the skulltula. 50 gold skulltulas, useless reward. That's always good to see.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if there's just a couple of things, because there are some different rule sets between this and accessible, and I know that Glitchy for sure races in the accessible stuff, so if he gets messed up on some things, I wouldn't be surprised.
Glitchy's gonna get Richard check. Get your Richard Z's in the chat.
She's so grateful, giving us 5 rupees for finding her lost dog. See, I kind of expected him to go adult, but it looks like he is going to go through with turning in this. I know in other categories for Rando, guards are turned off, but I do believe that you have to do the full guard sequence on this one. For 50 skulls and Bigoron trade quest, both of those are useless items, so that's always nice to get those out of the way. One of the settings we do have turned on is Dungeon Skull Sanity. I think I mentioned that earlier, but you'll have a naturally higher skulltula count than you might on a normal playthrough, just because you want to check every single skulltula in a dungeon, because it could be an important item or a key or a boss key.
Glitchymon getting that close-up glamour shot.
Yeah, just checking to make sure that Talon's sinuses are clear. Gives him a clean bill of health as he runs off. So besides opening up opening up the courtyard, having Weird Egg early on also opens up being able to check Talon and Malon, as well as getting Serious Song. Without having the Weird Egg, you're not able to like set the flag that lets you go do any of those. So it's very nice that they found this early, because it's shuffled into the item pool.
I never knew Serious Song was locked by the Weird Egg specifically. I thought it was just the like Zelda's letter or check. So so you feel like if you did like the bomb boost method, you could still get.
Yeah, you're right. Normally you would consider it locked behind the weird egg, but at the same time, yeah, if you managed to like damage boost over, then you would have been fine.
Okay. Davpat clipping out of bounds and skipping just a little bit of river. Not sure how much time that saves, but it sure looked cool. Glitchymon picking up opponent song could hint towards GTG early.
Yeah, but runners will have to make the decision to take the time to actually go. Actually, like if they find bombs early, they could just break opponent out by hovering. I'd be interested to see that. I think the race I saw earlier today, I don't think they ever found the bomb bag.
Okay, and we should be coming up on our first pedestal. Gonna skip child. Oh.
Okay, so Fire and Spirit are our two other stone dungeons.
That means that most likely Hammer is not required for the seed.
But all three child dungeons are medallions, so that'll be very interesting. But yeah, Glitchy's pulling ahead of Dave just a little bit. They've done pretty much both the same checks, although now Dave is going to choose to, I think, maybe? No, he baited me. He's going to go back in the Hyrule Castle. Generally, a lot of people like in Randomizer, they like to go adult early because there are a lot of checks that you can pick up relatively early without doing anything else. A lot of Kakariko checks are in there, as well as just being able to do most of Dodongo's cavern, because you usually pick up an explosive or a strength upgrade early on in the seed like they did. And I think one of the biggest things we'll see with this, with the chest setting, is that people we'll see our runners go into some place and then just immediately leave if they don't see a big chest. We finally found some Bombchus, though. That's a big deal.
Prelude. Again, not required, but
And the Bombchus weren't a bait. I was worried about him. Usually, playing the song before you pick up whatever's up there makes it very difficult, but he managed to do it after waiting just a little bit. And there's our Hookshot. It's not a bait this time, folks. Hookshot will open up. I'll be interested to see if he chooses to Hookshot into Shadow Temple from here, now that he has it. Just going to go and check and see what's in there, because Shadow Temple is required. but Hookshot does open up a lot of different checks that that he can do as an adult. Yeah, the cool thing that came about with the freestanding models out in the open, people found some strats to be able to look inside of like walls and under boxes and whatnot to be able to check things that you saw Glitchy do there. He was able to see target on one of the frames where Link starts standing up after a roll, and lets him see inside the wall and check and see if he needs to complain to being there as a kid and come back, or if it's just a useless check.
I do believe you can also get it with the long shot, or with the hover, since this is ignoring the wrong way. We're gonna see our first Dampe. Got the good old 1.0 fire chanting music in Dampe.
Yeah, Glitchy comes out with a pretty solid 51 after getting hit by the fire twice. I wouldn't be surprised, or I wouldn't have expected anything much better than that.
The Goron sword, quality of life, again, not required. We seem to be getting a whole bunch of quality of life things, which ends up usually making things a little bit faster overall, but again, nothing too way of the hero besides him.
Yeah, Deku Tree was in fact our first medallion of the seed. But yeah, right now both of our runners following pretty much the same route. I'll be interested to see where exactly they diverge.
Special hell. We started with the Sapphire Deku Tree and ended up being the Spirit.
Yeah, and Dampe just gives us that big sword and gives us a Deku shield for our troubles for the second race. Oh no, Glitchy's low health noise.
Please, Glitchy, get some health. No.
Alright, because he did pick up some Bombchus, he's probably going to head up Death Mountain. And now that he's picked up Bombchus, he can actually choose to buy more from the shop if he wants to. Until you find that first 20, you can't do anything else.
Glitchy showing off our first Hess of the run, So for those of you who don't know, there's a position on the analog stick of a controller. It's just slightly right outside the dead zone, known as ESS position, commonly by speedrunners. If you roll into a bomb explosion.
You cut off there.
Oh, I did? Yeah, that's weird. Where'd I cut out?
If you roll into a bomb explosion.
So if you roll into a bomb explosion, in the middle of the roll, you have damage invincibility. And because of this, you take knockback, you don't take damage, that would stop it, but you can keep that momentum by holding ESS position on your control stick, causing Link to go back at a very high speed. And you'll see this a lot for fast movement, especially across Hyrule Field and such. Yeah, I got you. There you go.
Yeah, I expect to see that save a little bit of time overall, but it's definitely not it'll save probably minutes over the course of the entire run, depending on where he can use it. But yes, basically rolling into an explosion and pressing target and shield on a certain, like basically the second damage frame or also the third frame, depending on your distance from the bomb, will kind of send Link flying backwards as long as you're holding ESS position. Which, if you're messing around at home and you want to figure out where ES position is, you kind of just tilt your controller a little bit over to like the left or right or up or down, and you basically want the position where Link starts turning in place, where he just starts shuffling his feet around. And Glitchy showing off the chests where he just kind of goes through those rooms because he doesn't see any of the big chests up there, although he is skipping the one chest that's all the way over on the other side of the bridge, so we'll see if that plays off.
Also, as a kind of a quick notice, I believe there's a website, I believe the URL is rainingchain.com, has a helpful ESS helper. You can hold it and it'll like read your controller input and tell you whether or not you're holding ESS, and if so, like which direction, which is really useful tool.
The other thing I hope that Glitchy remembers to do is that he'll need to be checking his skulltulas through here as well, because each one of those could be an item. Yeah, he is coming back up here and doing this now. And so now we see Dave going into the fight against King Dodongo. This is another medallion dungeon, so this is a required thing to do.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you, Metroid. I was kind of waiting for somebody else to say it, except for... Yeah, something we've seen in previous runs is in the new RM, the glitched rule set, all skulltulas in dungeons are randomized, and if you fail to collect them, you know, that can really cost you. I believe, yeah, Special Hell mentioned it. Yesterday we had a run where Megaton Hammer was actually in Dodongo's cavern. Fire was a required temple, and it took us a while to find it again after it was skipped over. Davpat getting the second medallion of the run.
Yeah, if you don't have practice doing Dungeon Skull Sanity, or if you're like switching between different, you know, rule sets of Randomizer, it'll definitely mess you up, I think, for a little while before you maybe remember. But muscle memory is one hell of a thing.
Definitely, definitely. And if you're trying to learn one of the tricks, I would recommend good map trackers that will show you where everything is, and you kind of start to learn it over time, such as, I believe Emo Tracker is a pretty...
What we see Glitchy trying to do here is that if you like open up a text box, like talking to Navi, right when you push down a switch, once you leave the switch, it'll stay down for a little while. And so he uses that to skip having to push the block, although it took him 1 or 2 tries. The same trick can be used with Ocarina items, where you pull out an Ocarina and play it, or where you pull out your bottle and play it as an Ocarina, or any other, holdable item.
There is a way to do it with a sword slash, and the new Ocarina of Time randomizer exclusive little D-pad down button, but I've only gotten it once. It's pretty. Glitchymon showing off swag strats.
Yeah, Dave pulling ahead just a little bit, although from his tracker, it looks like he's missing Boomerang. I'll have to see the next time he paused. If he didn't pick that up from Deku Tree, that could be a really big deal later on in this race.
He picked it up. I think that might be a tracking issue.
Yeah, because otherwise, yeah, Dave was a little bit behind Glitchy, but, one or two mistakes. If they're following the same route right now, I'll be interested to see, how back and forth it is. Oh, of course. Okay, the Glitchy doing Dampe is what's putting him behind a little bit now, and it's not punishing Dave at all. Whether or not he comes back and does that, or he just keeps going with the seed, will kind of determine how far ahead he stays and for how long.
It's generally not very common to see runners stay this close to the same route this long. Normally, paths have diverged pretty severely at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I would say with non-glitched or like with accessible rule set logic, this is kind of what people would follow. There hasn't been any necessarily like huge glitched things that can sequence break, and the biggest thing about these seeds is that there is no sequence breaking required, and sequence breaking is not in logic. There are a few tricks that are considered out of logic that have been like added into tricks that you're expected to be able to do. But by no means is the seed going to like say that you have to dive into the well early or something to get an item.
And there is a lot to say on whether or not it's worth doing, because where the logic places things is, everywhere the randomizer places things have to be in logic. So if you get hints on, well, this is in logic and this has, Shadow Temple's in logic, has a whole bunch of checks, it might be worth it to go there a lot earlier, as opposed to if you don't have hovers, if you don't have magic, if you don't have Din's Fire. If you have like two of the three, such as Hookshot and Din's Fire, that's a pretty strong indication, but you don't have everything needed to get there, which would be a really good use of some of the knowledge and tricks that both of these runners know.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if either of these runners choose to do anything that's necessarily out of logic, because like I said, chances are you don't find anything unless you get like a hint that tells you, Ice Cavern is on the way of the hero. Then maybe clipping into into Zora's Fountain is a worthwhile thing to do. I think one of the funniest things I've seen so far from the chest sizes matching contents is that in dungeons, I think small keys are in like a smaller version of the boss key chest, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, so that kind of allows you to skip small chests, which are heart pieces that can really be a thing if you're trying to do like fire temple, etc. Or fire temple without fire tunic, that can usually be a problem. So it's kind of there's a little bit of a risk versus time save.
So right now, Dave is doing a trick that basically lets you skip all of the dungeon here. You can basically clip out of bounds-ish right there, and the loading zone for the boss room, or basically any boss room in any temple, is always there, even if like you're not next to the room. So if you manage to get out of bounds and you manage to hit that loading zone, you can enter this boss fight and skip pretty much the entire dungeon.
The clip is done by Z targeting on the same frame that you grab a ledge, and for some reason it displaces the body, or Link's body, and into the wall, and you can just kind of fall down there. I guess the only way the hero hint we found was Deku, and that was done within the first 7 minutes. Other than we know that 50 skulltulas is useless, as well as Big Poke.
I think somebody mentioned we might have had a spirit temple is Way of the Hero as well, so
I must have missed.
But yeah, unless we do have Requiem of Spirit, so it's a chance that you could go there as a child once they decided to go back and do that. But otherwise, as an adult, you can't get in there until either A, you pick up Silver Gauntlets, or B, you pick up Hover Boots and you can do a clip through there. I think those are the 2 best ways. I suppose there's another way where you can use collection delay to like get up on top of the Wasteland Colossus, and then you can do a hover over there, but that would be so far out of the way I wouldn't bother doing it. So Dave's going to warp here to Desert Colossus. We know that he's going to pick up Zelda's Lullaby, and he's going to be pretty much locked out of the rest of this temple for the time being as an adult. Maybe he'll go check the hint that's over there, as well as whatever's on top of the big Colossus structure. But from here, I think the best choice is to save warp back to Temple of Time and go child, because they've checked a lot of the major adult checks at this point. Glitchy's going to demonstrate another use of that same ledge clip technique that you can use to get inside of this temple, or this Song of Time block, and get past there. So he's going to actually go do a little bit more of this temple than Dave did. We'll see if it ends up paying off. But pretty much everything in this temple right now is out of logic. With the exception of like 2 chests. And one of the big reasons I tell people that I like going adult early so often is that you do have basically a free warp back to the Temple of Time whenever you want to as an adult. And then as a kid, you can go and warp back to like Kakiri Forest. And if you didn't have the chance to do Deku Tree then you can do it now. Go clear some of the Lost Woods checks. I think it's just a very easy and straightforward routing choice that generally pays off. But yeah, Glitchy so far not finding anything that really pays off his visit through Forest Temple. He's pretty much locked out of the rest of the temple. He'll check the Stalfos, and then I wouldn't be surprised if he also does the boss key skip, and then just gets this this boss out of the way. Another nice change. Oh, sorry there.
Dave's gonna head to Zora's River, and I assume Zora's Fountain, since I believe from what I've seen in chat, we have a Zora's River is.
Yeah, and Dave's just going to do a normal, a very easy trick to do, Navi dive, where basically you slash a sword or like a stick twice, and that kind of sends Link backwards off of the ledge. And then you spam Navi or C up during that, and it'll kind of take you to the bottom of a pool of water. You can use that to get down there, as well as get to the bottom of the well. I'm expecting him to, he's going to equip Bombchus here, so the next trick that he's probably going to do here is a ledge cancel. We'll see if he decides to do that, but he equipped Bombchus, so that's what I'm assuming he's going to do here real quick. Yeah, so he lines up with the torch here and climbs up that ledge while dropping a Bombchu and shielding the damage, and this basically messes up Link's hitbox, so that he can just pass straight through King Zora and go through into Zora's Fountain.
So Dave's apparently reading the Boomerang early in Deku Tree as kind of a sign that you definitely really gonna want to go to Jabu instead of so much as some other checks, such as maybe Skulltulas or Child's.
Yeah, and he's just gonna try and hit the exposed loading zone here for Jabu. It's basically, I think it's like 2 frames after you side hop there. You do a jump slash with either a sword or a stick. He should have sword unless he skipped it. But the only bad thing about it is that if you fail it, then you kind of have to swim around. But if you did it on the left side of Jabu instead of the right side, you wouldn't have to swim so far. He's not having a good time with this trick here.
Alternatively, he does have a bottle, is what it looks like, so he could just go get a fish.
Yeah, but at this point, he's already behind King Zora, and there's not a way to get back through, as far as I know. There might be some kind of setup out there, but
that's a good point. Does King Zora have? I thought King Zora just had friendly collision. I don't know. I might.
And if you clip behind him, there's no way to get back. It's the same way as an adult. It's a big oof. Yeah, and he comes in and he realizes that he's got no way out.
I think he just kind of realized that, oh, I might have to try some more attempts at this.
Yeah, maybe he chose to skip the Kakiri sword from Phantom Ganon, but
Yeah, it seems to be just a little bit late on those jump slashes.
Yeah, alternatively, there's another way to do it where you stand on top of the fence and you just jump straight at King Zora. I think it's this.
There you go. So now I kind of see the paths and routes begin to diverge between Glitchy and Dave.
Yeah, Dave is definitely choosing to take advantage of a little bit more of the glitches at the moment and do things out of logic, but he knows that he has to complete. Sometimes it's very easy to sit there and say, well, I can do this, but maybe it's not required. He's going to do, mega flip to skip going through almost the entire temple, or, well, done.
And if you're not sure, Mega Flip it's very similar to kind of like ESS in terms of explosion physics and knockback. If you backflip on a certain frame and have the explosion hit your shield, it'll add a whole bunch of momentum to your backflip and cause you to go flying. And this is just a glitch. Normally, you're supposed to have Rudo right here to hold down the switch while you go, but if you hit A on a frame perfect, if you get a very specific position, roll forward twice and hit A on a very specific frame, which you can see Dave is trying to get here, you can actually avoid having to go get.
Yeah, it's a tight frame, perfect trick. You have to press forward and A on the same frame, and then you've also got to press A to open the door on the right frame. Some people can do it unbuffered, and kudos to them. This is a trick that I don't think I'll get there for a long time, but
He doesn't have the setup correctly either. He's jumping on it, and it's you bonk and then you jump slash. So he might not be getting it unless there's another method that works. There he goes.
Yeah, there's like I think I've seen like 3 or 4 different setups for this exact like trick, but yeah, it just comes down to whatever works the best for you.
Yeah, he's. I also believe you do have to bonk. So bonking, I've seen in almost every setup. Yeah, he's just not reaching the door.
Yeah, at this point it's just him versus the trick. Like I've been there too, where it's like I get over here and it's like, well, I could have gone through the entire dungeon at this point.
Yeah. Sadly, you cannot mega flip with Rudo. Sad. Alternatively, you can Beery Hover, which is not an incredibly hard. Beery Hover is basically a property of ISG, and that includes in some tricks that hopefully, as a No I Am No Wrong Warp race, we will be seeing here at some point, is a property of the Infinite Sword glitch I discussed when we were back in Kokiri Forest, is that you also don't fall off of ledges. And because of this, if you shield damage in the air, it's trying to apply knockback, and looks like Dave's just going to go clear the dungeon at this point. But it puts a little platform under you to apply that knockback, and doing so gives Link a platform to be on. When that platform disappears, you just kind of sit there because Link can't fall off and or Link can't. The words English is hard. English is hard sometimes. Link just floats in midair. I believe that. Yeah, that's what he's about to do here.
He's gonna mega flip back on over there and maybe try this again. I'm not 100% sure.
Maybe we just needed a fresh start. You and me both be free.
Meanwhile, over on Glitchy's side, he's gone child too, but I think he's just really good to clear up some of the Lost Woods checks, do stuff that you would normally do in like accessible rule set.
With Bombchu's Sorry Song and Slingshot, I believe he can full clear out Lost Woods.
And Dave got through, and he's gonna climb all the way up, and probably, yeah, it looks like he's gonna throw the boomerang from up. There's a neat setup to be able to throw the boomerang from basically the down below and get it, but if you don't know it or if you haven't practiced it, it can be difficult. He's gonna go into the Barinade fight. But I mean, we've got... he's going to have 4 medallions now here, 50 minutes into the seed.
Glitchy, however, getting the Zora scale from the Deku scrub and Lost. Always helpful. And can sometimes be wary of the hero. If something such as diving game or I believe for fewer tunic requirements and some of the expected tricks, you're expected to have it for some parts of Water Temple. If you don't have hover boots.
Yeah, so far we've got, let's see here, like, we've got all 3 child dungeons done. As far as adult it goes, we've got Forest Temple done, and we need to complete Water and Shadow.
Now, Water and Shadow both have a lot of necessary items in order to clear it or full clear it. Shadow explicitly, you know, hover boots is always helpful unless you're planning to just go straight for boss skip. But after that, of course, we need magic and light arrows. I guess we can get from Ganon here.
Yeah, the other nice thing is that with a glitched rule set, you don't necessarily need to ever pick up long shot, because you can basically do either like a mega side hop or a super slide, as long as you have hover boots over to the Morpha boss door. And then as long as you have bombs too, you can just boss key skip and get into Morpha and fight that. So right now, as far as go mode is concerned for the seed, I mean, we still need arrows and light arrows. But other than that, hover boots and magic. And that could potentially take us to the end of the seed. So Glitchy's in Barinade 2, or he's in Jabu-Jabu's belly, and he's doing a similar trick there, except he's using a box to blow up the chew instead of like waiting for the counts to go through. And so that just lets him do the flip a little bit faster. It saves like probably a couple seconds overall. Yeah, both Spirit and Fire are medallion or stone dungeons, so we don't necessarily need to complete those to get to the end of the seed. Now, there's a chance that maybe we have light arrows in there or magic, but yeah, Glitchy having no trouble getting over to the Barinade boss fight.
Glitchy has made a lot of time due to Davpat having some issues with, of course, getting into Jabu-Jabu and then skipping, pulling the platform down and getting.
Yeah, Randomizer is a combination of both decision making and just pure execution, and Glitchy is he's got the execution down, that's for sure.
Zelda, you do still have to have light arrows to begin. You need at least one light arrow and enough magic for it. Speaking of magic, Dave has his magic now. Getting it from the southeast grotto we found magic in yesterday. That was a big holdup for Runner Guy yesterday. Very interesting.
Yeah, and that's one of those like Sphere Zero checks that open grotto there, because you don't have to like blow it up or anything. It's always there. Some people like to route that in super early, but both of these runners decided to go straight to Hyrule Castle instead of hitting South Hyrule Field at all. So. Okay, and Glitchy finds the hint that Ocarina of Time teaches Song of Storms. So that's one of those situations where, unless there is an item in the 2 Song of Storms grottos, we can essentially not have to worry about picking up Song of Storms and making this into an all dungeons. Over on Davpat's side, we see a trick called House Clip. Basically, like the entirety of Lake Hylia is programmed awfully, and there's just a bunch of places you can clip out of bounds, and like the water level is always basically the same as what it is in the rest of the lake, so he can kind of clip out of bounds, fall into the water, and then swim all the way around Lake Hylia to get into Water Temple early.
Yeah, the collision in Lake Hylia, it's really big, and so they kind of skimped out on the collision. It's not very good, as well as loading zones and water extend infinitely in their respective directions. Loading zones, or I guess, so like loading zone for Water Temple extends infinitely down and way too far up, and then water extends infinitely left and right, for the most part.
Interesting choice that Davpat's making here to come into Water Temple. I know that he'll have to do this eventually, but it looks like he's going to try and do a couple things in here. Yeah, he does another ledge clip there to clip out of bounds.
Glitchy's going to go get the Prelude check and the Light Arrows check, I believe. Or no, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so Davpat clipped out of bounds there to be able to swim to the point where the water was no longer loaded in Water Temple, and so that way he can kind of fall into like the void out zone, but come back in bounds at the very bottom, so that he skips having to have iron boots to get down there.
And with fewer tunic requirements, all but one of the chests, and I believe that is the chest after the like basement column chest is in logic without Zora tunic and just.
Yeah, so he gets the water lowered, and now he can check most of this dungeon without. I think he might be able to still swim around the dungeon and get to the Morpho loading zone, but I'm not 100% sure on.
Glitchymon doing a trick called Shadow Early. Shadow Early is done by if you hookshot on a specific frame in the middle of Link's stance change, you can actually hookshot jump, putting you on the seam of the outside texture. You can walk across the seam, and then right here you can skip having magic and dense fire by jumping over the loading zone for the downstairs portion of the entrance, and it also doesn't load the door. Luckily enough, so doing that skips needing to have Nocturne, magic, and dense fire. Or I guess you can also do it with a bow and fire arrow strategy.
Yeah, because normally to enter Shadow Temple, you need Nocturne, you need Din's Fire, or there is a setup to do with fire arrows, and you need magic. But luckily, we've got a couple of really neat glitches to be able to get up on that seam, and then you get ISG, because ISG has that interesting property that doesn't let you fall off of thin walls and whatnot. So that way you can walk on the seam without worrying about voiding out up there, and then you can get all the way around. Glitchy gets a nice one cycle on Dead Hand there. When Dead Hand's walking away from you after like damaging him, there is like a point basically where his arms kind of do this weird chicken dance thing, and you can hit him again with a sword. And that way you don't have to go through the second cycle of him going back underground.
Dave got himself a soft lock because he only has just basic diving. Doesn't have the Zora scale.
Yeah, and Glitchy, he doesn't have hover boots right now. He doesn't have Lens of Truth. So basically, you can pull this Truth Spinner around, and if you side hop on the right frame, if the floor does drop out, you'll still be able to pull the spinner around and not get voided out by that.
Dave now has the means to beat the dungeon with the Water Temple boss key, the only thing he's looking for in that dungeon. This might be over pretty quickly if Dave knows how to do stuff like Shadow Early, and maybe even Shadow boss key skip. We might be looking at gun mode for Davpat here pretty quickly, assuming Ganon, or I guess no mode with light arrows being into the Ganon.
Yeah, assuming that there isn't anything necessarily locked behind maybe having bow right away, then yeah, but I think both of these runners, we see Glitchy, he's kind of clipping through the cage there. There's kind of a point with the right angle, you can clip right through and you can skip basically half of the dungeon. That was the way to kind of skip most of Shadow Temple until one of the older versions of Boat Skip was found.
But since we have ZL, we might as well go ahead and take a ride on the Death Fairy.
Yeah, so I mean, both of these runners really showcasing some of the tricks that you can do with Glitch Randomizer. So Davpat here, he's going to do a couple of, it looks like Bombchu hovers to get over there. So he rolls over so that Link's backflip is going to be angled kind of to the back left. And then he backflips and pulls out a Bombchu and shields on the right frame, and Link gets stuck in the middle of the air. And so he'll be able to get all the way over to the Morphador doing this. But he'll be doing a lot of buffering here because these are essentially frame perfect backflips and shoe pulls. And he gets it. That's super impressive. And Dave managed to find the boss key here in the temple, so we won't have to worry about doing anything else. You can just walk straight through the door, get Morpha, get his 5th medallion on the board. Meanwhile, Glitchy's still taking a nice boat ride. He's going to try and finish out Shadow Temple here. We'll see if he decides to go over into like the vanilla boss key area, or if he goes straight to the boss key door and does the
Glitchy opts not to hang on the bell, but alas.
So in here, you're able to basically become immune to the spikes by hitting the Redead, getting the Redead to screaming. Glitchy messes up the first time, but basically the Redead screaming kind of locks Link in place, and the spikes will keep moving past him. And that lets you skip having to have Din's fire for this room. But he will still void out once the spikes get to the center. But yeah, 5 medallions down for Davpat. He's got the medallions to be able to check Vanilla Nocturne location. I believe he's already checked the Light Arrow cutscene, but we'll see if he gets that right now. Yeah, he's already seen the Light Arrow cutscene. Oh yeah, you're probably right. He was checking the chest through the moving walls. Yeah, Davpat going back to being a child. I'm assuming that he's going to go check bottom of the well right now. Maybe clear up a couple of other checks that are in that area, or maybe hit up Spirit Temple as a child. I mean, right now this is just a hunt for our bow and light arrows, for Davpat at least.
Really, just the bow, because light arrows will be. You can always check the Ganon hint. So the only thing hunting for is that.
That is very true. Ganon will let us know where we missed him, where we missed out on. Yeah, Chad is pointing out that the hover boots that we would have seen there couldn't have been the real hover boots. But yeah, standing item models can also still be ice traps. It's something really sadistic that the devs for Rando decided to add.
And I do believe that they always will be major items. I do believe.
Yeah. But in the heat of the moment, you know, you get there and you're like, oh boy. And you don't necessarily think about something like that. Glitchy's got to try and navigate through this room without hover boots, so he's going to do probably another mega flip to get over to the one platform, and then from there he can jump to the boss key door. So the boss key skip for Shadow Temple utilizes another ledge cancel or ledge clip. So basically, he's going to let go or back up off the ledge there, drop a chew, and he's going to get in the right position so that when he grabs the ledge and clips through, he's going to Z target, and the explosion is going to knock him directly into the loading zone for Shadow Temple or for Bongo Bongo. You see them get that first try, very well done. And our Bongo Bongo fight's pretty straightforward. He's going to get ISG early on in the fight. That's going to kind of keep him in place so he's not jumping around. He's going to hook shot the two hands, and then Bongo's going to run straight into him and just get dismantled.
Dave gets Serenade, a song that doesn't really open up anything, but it's a little bit more quality of life in case everyone wants to go back to it.
So Dave's finally going around and doing some of his child Kakariko, or well, it's just his normal Kakariko checks. He's probably going to go do Dampe game now. So yeah, a lot of those things that he could have done earlier on, or he's going to just go clip straight into Shadow Temple, either way. No, he's gonna check graveyard stuff real quick here before going in.
I wouldn't be surprised if at this point he just full clear Shadow, hoping that maybe he can find the bow.
Yeah, because despite the runners having, you know, kind of diverged for a little bit, they're kind of converging on the same point where they've each got one dungeon left, and then it's just gonna be the hunt for those arrows. Well, Glitchy's still got to pick up magic somewhere, so that's the one thing that might be still in the back of his mind. Yeah, between the two medallions that we have left, light medallion is Shadow Temple, and water medallion is vanilla at Water Temple. Yeah, I'll be really interested to see here, depending on how these next few moments go. If we can get like a sub 2-hour seed, that'll be well below what the average has been for this tournament so far.
I mean, we've seen upwards of 4 hours in the last couple of races.
Yeah, and folks, you can look at these two trackers, and they don't have many items, and they're getting a lot done, and that's just the power of what you can do if you can break the game hard enough.
Glitchymon, gonna take 10 gold skulls. Just picking up another heart container.
Yeah, Glitchy's really healthy this seed, whereas Dave is sitting on 4 hearts right now. He's sitting on 3/4 of one.
Dave's gonna use some power crouch stabs. I don't think. Have we explained power crouch stabbing?
I don't think so.
All right. So power crouch stabbing is, you might notice that the two attacks that Dave likes to cycle back and forth between is either jump slashes or crouch stabs. And the reason behind both of these is, depending on what your last attack, your crouch stab will reflect that damage. So if you do a jump slash with the Master Sword, then your crouch attack will be, I believe it's 4. They're the same amount as a jump slash. It also inherits properties, so if you have Megaton Hammer, and you swing your Megaton Hammer, and then the next thing you do with your sword is a crouch stab, it'll keep the properties of the Megaton Hammer, and you can use that to easily complete stuff like Boulder Maze and Goron City, etc.
Yeah, and because ISG is done with a crouch stab, ISG's damage is also determined on what your last jump slash was.
Which is a lot of the times while you'll see bosses that they use ISG on, they'll always jump slash into the cut.
Glitchy getting 2 forward ESSs. So if you target and shield a frame late when you're trying to do a Hess, you'll get what's called a Fess instead, and it's slow. It's about as fast as backwalking, if not a little bit slower, and it's just embarrassing because it's visual indication that you messed up.
Dave missing the mega backflip. Also, visual indication that you messed up. Very good.
So Zila is on. One of the settings that we have on here is Bombchus and logic, and once you pick up your first set of Bombchus, which is always going to be 20, you can then buy Bombchus from the shop for 60 rupees for 5 Bombchus from there on in the seed.
Glitchy getting his magic, meaning the only thing that either of these people need for no mode is the bow, as well as one more.
Yeah, but in terms of logic, Bombchus and logic basically serves as being your bomb bag. So chances are you'll never end up finding a bomb bag, or a bomb bag will be locked behind some place that you would never, normally pick up, because Bombchus can serve as your normal bomb bag for the entirety of the seed.
I'll have to remember that special hell. My friends are being rude. I can just call them a fest. Astor, Davpat just needs to complete Shadow, and Glitchymon needs to complete Water Temple.
Yeah, so Davpat will pretty much be able to go and check Light Arrow hint right away, but he'll still be looking for Bow. Looks like Glitchy is just going to kind of look around still some more instead of doing Water Temple. Maybe he's not comfortable with doing the, backflip strategy, the hover over there. Maybe he still wants to just look for where the bow is at. But that's one thing about a glitch randomizer, is that it can really reward the really niche strats that don't show up anywhere else besides maybe bingo.
At this point, Blood, it's really kind of hard to tell because they both have one dungeon, they both have magic, they're both still looking for the bow. And other than that, they're very, very similar in terms of progression items. Who's ahead is always really hard to tell once the paths kind of diverge. Glitchy's gonna check Bombchu bowling, nothing's gonna come up.
Yeah, as long as Davpat can complete the rest of this dungeon without issue, he'll be technically ahead of Glitchy for a little while, but it really does come down to where they find the last two items they need to complete the seed. And whether or not Glitchy still needs to find other items that he needs to complete this seed, because the way that Davpat went through Water Temple was by no means anywhere near logical.
And this is one of kind of the dangerous things about breaking logic, is what is originally in logic gets lost very easily. Briefly, they did do Jabu-Jabu, but they just got the medallion. They didn't actually get any of the checks, so there is probably a pretty good chance the bow might be in Jabu-Jabu, and if I were the runners, that's probably where I would go right after completing my last dungeon.
Yeah, I don't know about fishing either, off the top of my head.
I don't think either of them have done fishing.
And the bow doesn't necessarily have to be in a dungeon. It could be an overworld check anywhere.
That is true. It could also be any of the gold skulltulas in the dungeons that they've.
Yeah, because besides maybe Dodongo's cavern and Deku tree, I don't think we've seen a dungeon actually get full cleared since then. Jabu was entirely skipped. Forest was entirely skipped. Water and Shadow were pretty much skipped halfway. And Davpat getting a quick fight against Bongo Bongo. So he's got all 6 of his medallions. He could decide to enter Ganon's castle right now, should he choose.
However, there is no logical reason for a bow to be in Ganon's castle unless it's, I guess it's not the first logical bow. A little bit of there. Sorry.
Yeah, it could very much be like an extra, like
Glitchymon found the bow, and Zora's. That's definitely gonna put Glitchy ahead at this point. I believe Zora scale is in Kokiri Forest Scrub. That's definitely a huge plus for Glitchymon right there.
Yeah, and Davpat, yeah, he does not have scale right now, so he would not be able to pick up that bow if he wanted to. So Glitchy coming into child fishing. Basically, the only fish that you really need to catch is the first one that's on the left. That one always works. Glitchy looks like he's going to run around and catch the one that's over near maybe the sticks, or the one that's near the big log. But yeah, the first fish that you can target that's like immediately to the left there will always work as a child or adult.
Dave is gonna go open the Rainbow Bridge and go into Ganon. Huge risk, huge reward. He might just go through a couple of trials, or maybe he'll just go straight for the light arrow cutscene or light arrow hint. Glitchy getting his logical dense fire.
Yeah, and our scale, as far as we can remember, is in Lost Woods, yes. Behind a scrub.
Yeah, Dave's gonna go straight for that light arrow hint. I don't think Dave has the boss key, so I think he might be missing that. Just maybe hoping that it's in vanilla.
I think if this goes off the same settings, I'm not 100% sure, but boss key for Ganon's castle should not be required. They've removed the lock on that.
Remove Ganon's boss door lock. False. No, it's not.
Oh, okay. So he does need to actually go find. So considering that you have to find boss key, having to do trials actually suddenly very much changes what items may be required to complete the rest of the seed.
Now something smart Dave could do is maybe go into, I believe it's light trial that has all of the chests. Would be smart. This is just a whole lot of checks really quickly in rapid succession. If I were to have to look for either a boss key or a bow, that's the first place I would.
Yeah, if he's able to kind of probably flip in there if possible, that might be an option.
I believe you can Hess in there. I think we saw that yesterday.
Yeah, he gets up to the door and he gets that notification that yeah, you still need to go through the rest of Ganon's castle and find something. Let's say that's one of those settings that I think people maybe just aren't used to, because in most cases, boss key is removed. So one of the big things that the runners might need to get through some of the trials, a way to get around light trial. I know you can super slide. I'm not sure about a Hess, but I know for sure a super slide works. You need a fire source of some sort to be able to get through or get the chest that's in forest trial. There's 2 chests that are open in water trial.
I believe Glitchy's the only one currently that has a portable.
Yeah, Glitchy did find the logical Din's fire at Child Fishing, so he has some kind of flame source. Right now, Davpat has nothing. And now there is a way to light the torch in there, but you would need some kind of bow in the first place too. And I don't think that this category allows for sticks as an adult.
Yes. Oh, huge from Dave getting a bow in water trial. That gamble paid out of going into trials. That's really good.
Yeah, absolutely not his logical bow, but finding one anyway, that is, it all pays off in the end. It doesn't matter where you find it.
Now just looking for Ganon's boss key to get the light arrow hint, and Dave is in no mode, essentially, with all but Ganon's boss key and light arrows, which, again, you can just get from Ganon. This is looking to be very well a sub-2.
Yeah, our logical bow was in Lake Hylia at Rudo's Letter. And now we found the second bow. So there's a third bow hiding somewhere out there, but we won't worry about that unless it pops.
Dave gonna get into light trial.
Yeah, any of the items in Randomizer that happen to have like upgrades to them, such as bomb bags, quivers, slingshots, even hook shots, all of those are progressive. So if you find one, then that is like your very first one. Yeah, what he's trying to do now is he's trying to use the explosion from this Bombchu as well as a very specific angle that should let him kind of clip behind the block. And he's probably just going to save there to try and make sure that his chew count doesn't get completely wasted attempting this trick. Glitchy clipping into bottom of the well. I think either he used a cuckoo dive or he used Ocarina dive. I'm not sure. I was
dive. Yeah. Sorry, I explained that and I had my mic muted. And also, I think your stream might have buffered just. If you want to refresh.
Yeah, I'll get that refreshed here. Yeah, I have some friends who very lovingly refer to Cuckoo Dive as Fireball Chicken, because basically you get ISG and you pick up the cuckoo, and it looks like it's on fire. And once you drop the cuckoo and you backflip, you do a cutscene dive. And so basically in the middle of a cutscene, Link doesn't float in water, so he gets all the way down to the bottom.
Because that makes sense. Glitchy finds the hovers in bottom of the well. Could have used those a couple of minutes ago in Shadow Temple. But alas.
Hovers are going to make him doing Water Temple much, much more comfortable because you can do Mega Side Hop with the hover boots to be able to get over to the Morpho Key, as opposed to what Davpat did with some like side flip hovers. Oh, he dove with Bombchu and Nut. Okay, that's the N64 No I Am Wrong Warp way of doing that. Not nearly as fun. Yeah, in the normal No I Am Wrong Warp category, there's a difference between Virtual Console and N64. Because N64 has the benefit of running on 1.0, where you can do a trick called Blank A, that lets you do bottom of the well really fast. People who run on Wii VC or on version 1.2 have to do a trick called Ocarina Dive, just because Blank A was basically patched out of the game on 1.0.
Blank A does some similar stuff to Ledge Cancel in terms of distorting Link's hitbox, so that he can actually clip out of bounds and foot down to the bottom room, the kind of hand-shaped room, in bottom of the well, and since he's out of bounds, and we know that the Ocarina of Time developers didn't like to just limit water to where the water was, you can actually use water to float up to the chest that you want in the bottom of the well, the Bombchu chest.
Yeah, right now Davpat's still trying to kind of clip into this gold gauntlets block with a Bombchu. I saw, I think in the previous race, someone was trying to do this, a similar trick in Fire Temple to clip through a block with a Bombchu. I'm not sure if Bombchu's explosive properties are a little bit different from bombs, but it didn't work in Fire Temple at least. So either his issue is with his explosive or it's with his angle. Either way, he's seems determined, but I think he should try and look around.
Glitchymon attempting to do the 100% strategy of getting to different chests. Oh, looks like he's going to give up on that. Basically, if you can take damage from that, and with a specific couple of frame perfect inputs on the vine and getting hit by the big skulltula, then you can get pushed through the vines and basically just float over to the like room.
Oh, there we go. Davpat actually gets the jump. But yeah, with vine clips, basically Link, for whatever reason, they programmed it so that when Link grabs a vine, he clips slightly into the wall. And so if you have a damage source, then you can also then clip all the way through. Davpat finds a bomb bag.
Insult to injury, could have used that a little bit ago. And that is a feels bad man.
Yeah, so Ganon's castle loaded up with items that we could have used, I don't know, hours ago, an hour ago.
Dave now has access to the light arrow hint. Legoland, I'd say estimates here coming up and not too long. I'd say definitely maybe 150.
Yeah, depending on where our light arrows are right now, this could be done within the next 20 to 30 minutes.
However, if the game wants to be a troll and put light arrows in somewhere like Deep Fire, this might be substantially longer, looking for, maybe items necessary to get.
Yeah, if light arrows are locked behind Twinrova or Volvagia, we could be in for something really mean here. But if they're out in the open someplace and we just have to go collect them, then yeah, this seat's going to be super fast and it would be easily sub 2. I don't know if I saw Davpat save when he was going up the castle there.
Water Temple holds the light arrow. I think I called it at the beginning of the stream that light arrows were in river chest. Someone here was around for that.
Oh, okay, he's gonna save in the Ganon fight. Okay, I was worried that he was going to reset too soon and he was gonna have to go get the boss key again once he came back.
And the bow for that. Nelson, actually, we saw Davpat earlier using, I believe it was called House Clip. You can clip out of bounds in Water Temple and float down to the Water Temple.
The really depressing thing right now is that the water is now raised all the way up, so we can't use House Clip again because clipping out of bounds is just going to take you to the level of the water, and the level of the water isn't the same as the entrance to Water Temple anymore. So he either needs Gold Scale or he needs Iron Boots to get in now, as far as I know.
That is unfortunate. Looks like he will be trying anyway.
Yeah, he would need both scales at this point. So the other thing is that if Glitchy doesn't find light arrows in his first trip into Water Temple, and he has to come back too, then he's going to be riding the same struggle bus that Davpat is right now.
However, if Glitchy does find light arrows somewhere in Water Temple, it could mean game over for Dave. Dave voiding out.
Yeah, with the correct plays, this seed potentially could still be sub 2 hours, but right now, things have become very mean. And depending on where light arrows are inside Water Temple, things could get even more mean depending on what they know. Yeah, Glitchy getting House Clip there. You can see the water's lowered because it's the same level as the water that in the rest of Lake Hylia. So I'm wondering exactly what it is that Davpat's attempting to do.
Apparently, it looks like the water at that level might be a little bit thinner than the kind of bounce in Link whenever he jumps.
Yeah, because he is doing a little bit of a different setup, so I think he roughly knows a way to get in there using this setup, but it seems incredibly difficult at the moment, or at least under practice.
Glitchymon's not going to complete anything in Water Temple, instead going straight for, I believe, yeah, going for boss.
Yeah, he's got the hover boots right now, so he can do this kind of like low height clip that basically gets you above the point where you can just kind of back up into the Water Temple door, or even like side hop into it.
Alternatively, I believe there is a new strat, the ground clip, that can. I believe ground clip is fairly new, isn't it?
Yeah, low height ground clips are, I think, within the last 6 or 7 months.
Dave finally getting that that Water Temple or the house clip and getting actually her. See if you can navigate to the loading zone.
Yeah, he had to do that very differently, and he had to, I think, nearly fall down to the void out point and then start swimming over. Because if he did it any other way, then he would be way too high up. And now he's going to try and look around for wherever the water temple loading zone is over there. Because the really annoying thing about this trick is the camera just gets stuck.
You can see on his map he's getting really, really close. It's just not quite there.
Oh, yep, and he comes up on the top side, and he's either got to go and do it again, or I don't know if he really wants to try and go hunt down Iron Boots at this point. I think
as close as he got it, he might as well just do it again.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely just going to try and brute force his way to the end of this seed.
Glitchy getting the cover for the little low height. Bosky's good. Nope, looks like he missed it.
Yeah, I've not seen this this exact boss key clip or boss key skip done with Bombchus. With bombs, it's relatively easy because you can just kind of put down 2 bombs and backflip onto them.
Davpat looks like he's got the timing down pretty good.
Yeah, the only real question is if you can get all the way over there before Link goes up too far. Because yeah, he clips through the bottom of the lake, and you can see now that he's not nearly low enough.
He's gonna have to steer a lot farther than to the right than he expects.
Yeah, so Glitchy manages to clip through the top of that door. For whatever reason, a lot of like the top parts of doors don't have collision in Ocarina of Time. They never think that you would be able to get that kind of height. It's used a lot in Spirit Temple to be able to get past the Iron Knuckle that goes to like Mirror Shield or to Silver Gauntlets. And I think in Master Quest Water Temple, because there's a hookshot target there, you can climb up to the top of that, and then you can just jump over the Water Temple boss key door.
If I were Dave at this point, I'd be going kind of upright, hoping to get, under that big mound as fast as possible. And he's got it.
There we go. So yeah, with that, Davpat, with Glitchy making the decision to go straight for the boss key or for the boss door and completing the dungeon, he's gonna find out the very rude awakening that Davpat had too. I don't think that besides the dragon room, I don't think that there's necessarily any other rooms in here that would really require you to have iron boots. So yeah, there are definitely a couple checks here in Water Temple that if we find the boss key there, or the light arrows there, it's going to be incredibly difficult.
I know the bottom side of the column, that check and that chest definitely means iron boots, and that would be incredibly bad for Dave and Glitchy, both of them, neither of which have.
Yeah, the river chest, the best way to get to that is, I believe, using basically the beginning of entrance point glitch, where you can kind of like, you can open a door when you're recoiling away from the door on a certain frame, and that kind of like makes the room really weird and leaves the door open. And you can get back into that room and all the actors are unloaded, so that no longer is there a Song of Time block, and you can fall through there. That's the main way that I've seen to get to the river chest.
Dave giving us our first bomb hover, or Bombchu hover of the seed, I do.
Yeah, he used this same hover kind of to get over to Morpha, because he didn't have hovers, so he had to do this way, because this is pretty much the only way to really hover across something without hover boots.
Oh, my mistake.
Without, I think, bombs. Now there is a way to get over to the boss key door in this dungeon without necessarily going through this room. But chances are some people don't know it. It's a glitchless setup. If you have hover boots, or if you're used to having hover boots here, then you would never really do that anyway. But it helps save the time and the pain from having to go through this room, because those little guys are the most obnoxious thing ever. So Glitchy's gonna go on his hunt now for where the boss key's at. We'll see how quickly he manages to get through the golden gauntlets block.
Glitchymon looking for Ganon's boss key as well to get his light.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see what he decides to use to get into Water Temple, if he has a better way to get through it, because we saw Davpat struggling through to get back in here. And that skulltula's got like God mode turned on or something right now, because he's hookshot it like 7 times, I think.
He must have eaten a notch apple. And no, I will not apologize for making that reference to Minecraft.
So it gets all the way over to the vanilla boss key chest. We'll see if this is anything worth it. It's a big chest.
Oh, juke.
Okay, so that's really interesting, because that's the logical way to get into Jabu-Jabu now. So at this point, you were supposed to have already found, I guess, a long shot someplace as well.
That wasn't in Jabu. Which means that iron boots can't be in Jabu, nor the item water.
Yeah, and the other thing is that all of the skulltulas in here could also be where our light arrows are at. So I'll be interested to see exactly where he manages to find them, and if he's able to find them on this trip. And I really doubt that he would leave without finding them here at this point. And Glitchy setting up the clip into the gold gauntlets block. I wouldn't say that there aren't any chests he can't check. I believe the chest that's at the bottom of the column would be incredibly difficult to do. I certainly don't know of any like way to get all the way down there.
The only way to get that check would be to somehow clip into like the guard railing guarding the chest, because you can't. There's no way to, damage the enemies necessary to do that, or to damage the crystal switch to unlock the enemies themselves. So if it is in the bottom of column, if it is in that chest, then we will definitely be seeing a second trip to Water Temple, this time with hover boots.
Yeah, the River Skull, without Iron Boots, I believe what you would need is Long Shot, and you could do, I think, a Weird Shot to get out of bounds so that you could hit it. But again, anything that these runners decide to do is going to be incredibly convoluted unless they want to leave this and come back. So I see Davpat's going to try and set up another ledge clip here to get out of bounds, and we'll see where he decides to go with it. Yeah, if you weren't here on the earlier parts of the seed, basically whenever you grab a ledge, the first frame that you grab a ledge, you can Z-target and it'll clip into the inside the ledge. It's a very easy way to get out of bounds. I think he might be trying to get down to the column chest, but I'm not 100% sure on it.
Dang. Personally, it looks like river chest, but yeah, you might be right on column chest.
Also, for your own rando experience out there, that ledge up there with the Zelda's Lullaby placard, if you run at that ledge with your shield pulled and you're running at roughly like the right side of the ledge, and then once you jump slash, once Link starts getting up there, as long as you have your shield pulled, you'll pretty much never fall down off of that. Like if you don't do it with your shield pulled, a lot of times it fails. So people were wondering an easy way to do that. Just run it with your shield pulled and you'll be fine.
Davpat can just taste that. There he goes. And he gets it. However, it is not loaded.
Yeah, I think he realized he went into the wrong place. Not quite where he wanted it to end up.
I believe he is looking to get behind that, behind the grate that requires bow and the water level to be low.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think there's only a skulltula behind there, but only a skulltula is still possibly light arrows at this point. Yeah, Helior, both runners are just needing to find light arrows at this point, and neither of the runners has iron boots, so we are breaking our way through Water Temple in the search to try and find where the light arrows are at. So Davpat is going over to the water dragon room. There is one chest to check over here. But yeah, at this point, like, Dave definitely does not want to leave Water Temple for any reason until he finds his light arrows. But there's a very strong possibility that he isn't going to be able to find him in here. At least not without more items. Yeah, not to mention that Davpat is sitting on one shoe right now, and there's not much else that he can really do in here, I think. He's short on a key, so he can't go over to Dark Link. I think at this point he should try and lower the water again and maybe check some of the things that are still down below, but it's hard to say. Okay, we'll see him if he can finally get down here and get this checked before the timer expires. Yeah, the only thing the runners haven't necessarily done that we've gotten a hint for, I think, was Spirit Temple being on the way of the hero. Other than that, Glitchy's gone through. He ended up doing Bottom of the Well, whereas Dave has not done that.
If I were Dave and the Nighters ended up being in something locked by Iron Boots, I would definitely immediately go to Spirit, hoping that Iron Boots are classified as Way as the Hero in the yeah, because it only selects a certain amount of Way of the Hero.
Yeah, the tournament distribution, which I believe this is following, has 4 Way of the Hero hints with 2 copies each. And I remember we got Way of the Hero hints for at least Deku Tree and maybe Lake Hylia. But a lot of the hints have been kind of skipped this seed because for the most part, the runners have had some sort of progression to follow. And I think he's trying to, get a cutscene dive here and go down below while the cutscene's playing, but
It's trying to see whether or not that's a small chest is what it looks like. So He'll be ignoring that from now on.
Yeah, quick on the fly thinking to kind of like check that really quick at this point, because he's been trying to get it for a while, and he's like, oh wait, I can just look inside this wall.
Yeah, very, very smart on Dave's part.
And Glitchy is still, he's going to struggle here with getting into Water Temple with the water raised as well. Absolutely not an easy trick, and not one that probably most runners have bothered practicing.
Or it might not even, you know, formally exist. They might be making it up on the fly. You know, glitch hunters, you know, once you've completed Water Temple, you've completed Water Temple. In every, you know, RTA speedrunning category, there's never any reason to double dip Water Temple. Glitchy showing off with some more inverted camera.
Yeah, I would expect this this setup to be maybe a little bit of an extension of something that's used to like get Child Link in there, but it's hard to say because I haven't seen a max percent child run in years. It feels like. But yeah, Dave's attacking Water Temple at every single angle, trying to find some way to get through here. Because this is possibly the darkest timeline when it comes to trying to find the light arrows at the end of the seed. It's the last thing we need, and it's not in a nice place.
Yeah, boy, oh boy, was this a rude, logically place to put light arrows. Glitchymon's underneath the water, but will he be low enough to get into the Water Temple loading zone?
Yeah, it looks like he's close enough there, but yeah, it's hard to say until we see him void into the Water Temple.
Oh.
Oh, and I think he just barely missed it.
Yeah. I thought he had it there definitely for a second.
Yeah, with the River Skull, unless they come up with some like convoluted setup to maybe hover all the way down the river to the skull, I don't think there's a way to get it with what they have right now. Not to mention that Dave only has one shoe at the moment, and so he wouldn't be able to necessarily change his angle at all once he gets a hover started. But I think Dave might have forgotten that the small key exists in the column, because he's doing everything else at the moment to try and check the rest of the Water Temple. Okay, he clips back here, and I think he's going to be able to pick up the skulltula that's in this room. Yeah, it's possible that they could choose to equip swap. Equip swapping items besides sticks as an adult, I believe, should be allowed. Sticks wouldn't be allowed because that crashes on N64, and so that would be a version exclusive trick. Found the mirror shield.
Oh, got memed.
That's just the biggest bait at this point.
Dave was so hurt he had to reset.
Those standing item models. I did see a setup recently to be able to get the chest with that you normally need the long shot to get on the second floor. Evidently, someone came up with a setup to be able to shoot the eye with a bow from the upper level, and then you could just jump down there. So that was really interesting, but I doubt either one of the runners have seen that recently. So Davpat actually chooses to warp out and make the gamble that maybe our Iron Boots are inside Spirit Temple.
Glitchy is trying to tech-tight dive, another version of the cutscene dive, whereas if he uses the cutscene animation of Din's Fire and have the tech-tight push him off the edge, he just dives straight to the bottom.
So we'll see if this manages to pay off for him. Maybe that mirror shield bait gave him the idea that, oh well, the seed's telling me to come here in a very, roundabout and sadistic way.
At this point in the seed, with one away from go mode, every big chest is a celebration on its own. There's the magic upgrade. Second and logical magic.
The only thing about going into some of these other temples and trying to look maybe for Iron Boots is that maybe you don't have the tools to get everything in this temple, and it could still be in here possibly. Maybe it's behind the skulltula, it's behind that Song of Time block, or maybe it's behind Mirror Shield. And he gets locked out of Adult Side Spirit early. Picks up 2 items, neither of which is progression. Oh, but he said his save in Water Temple, so he can just come right back over here now that he's made those 2 checks. Not a bad play, I think. It's worth making that risk. So yeah, we'll see if Glitchy decides to use his keys to go down the way to the vanilla boss key, which it looks like he's about to. We know that there's nothing over there, so. And Dave's gonna lower the water and maybe try and make a couple more checks on the lower side, or maybe on the middle levels too. But I can assuredly say that whoever manages to find the light arrows at this point is going to be the winner of the seed. Whoever finds them first.
Glitchy's gonna try his luck at the thing. Hey, he managed to get it with Hookshot.
Yeah, the OOT devs must have patched it between Dave and Glitchy both checking that out.
Man, I hate it when randomizer devs patch glitches.
But in case you were ever wondering how to get around Water Temple completely out of logic, this here's a masterclass in it. Both of these runners taking completely different approaches even to how to get certain places. Okay, now Dave's coming back to that small key.
And have we gotten the gold skulltula room in the room leading up to Morpha?
I don't think there is a skull in that room.
Oh, what am I thinking of? No, I'm definitely thinking of a different room. I've got the water temple placement all messed up in my head.
No worries.
Dave has glitched into the middle column block that usually rises and falls with.
Yeah, he's trying to see if he can see down there and maybe see what chest is down there. But yeah, we know at this point that the dragon room doesn't have anything. Glitchy's gonna go check the vanilla compass chest. That's gonna be boss key. Glitchy does have hover boots, so he can get over to the one block chest that's on the middle level very easily if he chooses to do that. But depending on what you like out of rando, this seed is either everything or nothing that you could have ever asked for.
Dave having to do a mega backflip because he doesn't have hovers and the water level is low, so the platform straight across is a couple levels down.
Yeah, now he could choose to side hop over to the middle level there, and then I believe with the right angle you can hook shot up to the top level. But again, sometimes that's just not something that you think about or that you practice. Looks like Glitchy is gonna go check out Dark Link. He's raising the level all the way back up. So Glitchy completely skips the skulltula that's sitting there on the side of the room. Interesting choice.
Also, the room I was talking about when I thought, for some reason, I thought led up to Morpha. For some reason.
Remember 30 minutes ago when we were like, oh yeah, this could be a sub 2 seed?
Oh yeah, we were like, oh, I even went as far as to say, nah, man, it's a 150, and here we're coming up on 220. Glitchy is the worst time to be at a Deku nuts, but at least he has the Goron sword to kind of. Nothing but a small key in the after boss fight chest.
And here, Glitchy, I think he's about to demonstrate that entrance point glitch that I was talking about earlier. So he's going to recoil off this door and open it basically on the first frame that he starts running away from it. The door stays open. And so he should, I think normally I've seen this setup where you hookshot kind of back through. Yeah, and see that's going to unload the Song of Time block that lets him get down there. So now we're going down the river. We've got the one skull that's over here. And we got the last chest that's over behind that ice switch. And I can't... It looks like a big chest.
Ooh, this could be it. And that's it. Glitchy has the light arrows.
Glitchy finds our light arrows. They weren't in the worst place possible. They were in a relatively mean place, but Glitchy is finally in go mode. I know we were all crossing our fingers, maybe hoping that it was someplace else, but that's probably the best possible option right now for Glitchy, is that they were right there.
This just goes to show you how I saw a whole bunch of people earlier saying, "Oh, Dave's got it in the bag. Dave's got it in the bag. Dave has already won." Just goes to show you that at any point a randomizer can just completely change on you, decide to be really, really mean, and yeah, just change things completely. Davpat's gonna exit Water Temple, and looks like he's gonna go look for Iron Boots somewhere else. As Child maybe he's going to Jabu. Oh, I guess they can't be in Jabu. Maybe Child side in Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, Davpat was a solid... I think he got into Water Temple like 15 minutes before Glitchy did. And just a couple of, like, you know, really stubborn decisions in there made it so that he was stuck. And he couldn't find... He didn't choose to go over to Dark Link and find the light arrows over there. So, just, again, like, it's execution, and it's also sometimes decision-making that makes a rando winner. And Sips, I believe that's how you pronounce your name, duping bottles isn't necessarily considered item manipulation. At least I know in the terms of like MST, where item manipulation is banned, but duping bottles is allowed. You can dupe a bottle.
I don't...
And you can also dupe pose, I believe.
I don't... I know you can item swap pose, but you cannot dupe bottles. And no, I know. Or at least in the randomizer rule.
Okay, then maybe they made a specific rule for that then.
Yeah, because I know you can in MST.
Yeah, Dave, I think he was starting to try and do a hover to get up to where the small key is in the center column, but he messed up, and so he tried to check the bottom thing, and he just never decided to go back and do it.
Glitchy has slain Ganon.
Alright, and we get to skip the entire collapse cutscene and go straight into our Ganon fight. Barring any major mistakes, Glitchy should have this finished within the next 3 minutes.
Time to slay the pig.
Rogue Reverse Bottle Adventure is it's an item manipulation glitch that lets you put a bottle on your B button, and by dumping and like recapturing things like bugs and fish and whatnot, it kind of manipulates other numbers in your inventory. So you might be able to use it to get more Bombchus or something like that. Alright, and the first half of the Ganon fight is done for Glitchy, and Davpat's still hunting around, seeing what he can find. One of the nice things we mentioned earlier about power crouch stabbing is that Ganon only takes full damage from the Master Sword, and I think also from Deku sticks. So by jump slashing with the Master Sword before the fight starts, you can store Master Sword damage, and then you can fight him with like a hammer, or you can fight him with the big Goron sword, or if you super slide into the cutscene, then he never knocks out your sword because you're holding your shield up.
And time. Glitchymon taking the win with a time of 2:27:30. GG.
Yeah, very, very well played. You know, the last part of that seed was probably the worst part. The most glitch heavy, I think, part of this entire glitch rando race.
Hello.
Yo.
Yo, man.
Okay. Okay, so I guess at this point we are waiting for post-run interview. I'm assuming.
Yeah, we'll get them in here, hopefully, and we'll see. We'll pick their brains on how they felt about this seed.
I know I definitely have a few questions.
Sips, the randomizer is, it does have two versions of logic. One is glitchless logic, and one is no logic. Glitchless logic basically says, you know, you can do everything the normal way. Glitchless, or no logic, is that there could be items hidden in places where you would never be able to get to them. Like your hammer could be on Volvagia, or something stupid like that. But some people like no logic randomizers because it's a completely different challenge, and it basically requires you to break the game.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Dave.
Oh, not like this.
No, dude.
You wouldn't believe how close it was, like going into the 2-hour mark.
Oh, man. I feel like I played the game, though. Like, I played pretty well, but then I just get stuck on Water Temple because no light arrows. That's about
Yeah,
it.
that was kind of a troll location.
Ooh, so where was it? Like,
It was
River
at
chest.
the end of the river.
okay, so I cut it over there. Oh, okay, interesting.
Yep. I
Yes.
think you got into Water Temple the second time, I think about 15 minutes before Glitchy. And then, yeah, it just came down to like those couple of clutch checks. And
Did Glitchy had like iron boots? Or
no, neither of you had iron boots, and you both had to like try and get in there with the water raise.
okay, yeah. No, I'm not that used to be doing that. I'm curious about like that loss though. I'm curious that Glitchy also YOLO it the same way I did.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, like both of you kind of like both of you skipped 90% of Fire or Forest Temple. Both of you skipped all of Jabu. You skipped most of Shadow. Like at a certain point, you both were basically doing the same things, just maybe like flip flopped.
oh, okay. That's I'm really curious about that. I didn't expect Glitchy to do that. I was going for the whole time, like for everything in like the trials. Like I didn't have the bow, and I was hoping maybe for a bow in the trial. And then like I got also the bomb there, so I was like kind of happy when there. And I was like, there's no way Glitchy did the same thing as me because I really run it YOLO hard. And then like and then I saw the water temple and started there. Just going back to water temple once you beat it without everything, like I didn't know any strat. Like I needed to learn like on the go like something, and I kind of copied like what I do as child to enter it, but it was not super easy to do. So much of the thing I did was just like I learned strat on the go. Like light trial, it's the first time I use a Bombchu to get inside of that. I did that a couple of times. So interesting race for me. I had no item in at all, so it was really hard.
Yeah, I was gonna. We both saw. I think both you and Glitchy walked all the way up the tower before getting to the boss key. How did you feel at that point?
Uh, just forget, man. I thought the boss key was not on the thing, but I was not worried about it because like I was going to clear the trial anyways. It's just I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll come back again. And like one had the key and everything, and I was like, okay, water temple, okay, it's doable. Like there's a couple of check, but please don't be like behind the Song of Time block because I don't have like arbor boots. I don't have anything to do it, and that's what happened. So guess just get bad luck on that, and then like did she just handle it better than me? But I think that's normal. Did she have more experience? But
So you and Glitchy both got very different bow locations. You found yours in Ganon's trial, and Glitchy found his as it's the Ruto's letter check. When you were going through trials, did you expect to find the bow, or was that just kind of a happy accident?
uh, I didn't expect it because it's randomizer. You cannot expect anything. But to be honest, in this setting, especially, I feel like there most of the time there's a bow or a bomb or something in trial because like the seed are made that the last thing that you find is like stuff that you didn't need for the seed. So it's normal that the very last point where you can get to, there's everything else. Like I was expecting like exactly like maybe a bow or something. Like it makes sense to me. And the other thing is since we're playing like with the BKs, like the BK on like last tower on Ganon Tower, that mean like it makes sense. Like I didn't realize it, but it makes sense that even more stuff are there because you have access to everything at it's a Divirian. So yeah, I was kind of expecting a bow there to be honest. Like it was my gamble, but I wasn't surprised. I'm just surprised that Light Arrows was on Water Temple.
Yeah, I think the biggest item that made maybe a little bit of a difference at the very end was I think Glitchy hit up bottom of the well and he found hover boots down there.
Ooh.
And that kind of let him, I think, do a little bit more of Shadow Temple, or not Shadow, Water Temple.
Oh, okay.
Made that a little bit easier because I know we were watching you like having to like mega flip across and all sorts of things.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Well, yeah, yeah. I don't feel like it's the problem. Like Overwood would have helped it, but like, yeah, it's a gamble, right? You could have, like the last boss key could have been like in the bottom of the tower, and then like both of us would have needed like iron boots, and then like it would have been really different. I feel like that would be like now everything is open and we skip like 99% of every chest. At the very end, I was going for Spirit because like it was the way up the I found, like one of the only. So I was like, oh, maybe in Spirit, maybe we get lucky. But yeah.
Yeah, it was incredibly interesting just how much you and Glitchy both decided to skip and still managed to get to the end of the seed. And I think both of you were like pretty much in just needing the light arrows like right before 2 hours. Like it was, and compared to I think the rando race that was on here earlier that went to like 4, 5, or 4-ish hours. It's just a completely night and day difference.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you get like those stone, like those medallion, like DC, Jabu, Water, Deku for like First Temple and Shadow, like the only problem was Jabu, but like since I found like the Boomerang so fast, like, every other dungeon is doable without anything, like except maybe if like I didn't do Shadow because I didn't want to boat skip, like I didn't know really yet, so that's why I went for Song early, so I could add ZL and like just start cleaning everything. But yeah, if like you have Fire Temple and like you have also like Spirit Temple, there's no way you can go like the same way we did because you actually need to find a Mirror Shield and then it's get really painful to just try to heal it. That's the difficulty about this, but like it's a risk work to take sometimes.
Yeah, I think we saw both of you do full clear Shadow without hover boots or dins. You know, both of you Hookshot jumped in there. Both of you, yeah, like there were a couple of times where I think like you YOLO'd a little bit more and like you just went straight through and didn't necessarily like check. But like honestly, you both found 99% of the same items.
That's pretty funny. I'm not surprised. Like if you played the same way that I did, like I'm really not surprised about that. My goal was to never come back to the same place. Alright, yeah. So that's an interesting match. Hopefully people like the glitches. I'm so sorry about like the pause buffer in my stream. I know it's not beautiful, but like that's the way I played and I'm so used to it right now.
Hey man, you know, glitches are hard.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. You're doing do better than I could have.
Yeah, I hope like people enjoy. Like I feel like we did some cool stuff at least.
You know, honestly, GG to both of you. Like that, it was really a good exhibition because like, even like some of the strats that you two did were different. You know, you hovered over to Morpha's boss door.
Yeah.
And I think Glitchy had hover boots, so he could just kind of like recoil over there. But, like just the way that you both accomplished like the same things, just different ways, was really cool.
Yeah. Yes, that's. Yeah, sometimes you just learn a way. Like, I wonder, like, how did Glitchy enter Water Temple? Did he do the same way as that did, or maybe he didn't have like the water down?
Both of you had to like double dip Water Temple, and I think he figured out like both of you took a little bit to do the second visit. Like
Okay, yeah.
even he, you know, had to like figure out exactly how far you had to fall.
Yeah. Oh, Glitchymon thing is coming.
Alright, we should be good. Glitchy in here pretty quickly. There he is.
I assume
Hey.
this is. Hey, it wasn't a Pasha supposed to be commentating?
A Pasher was supposed to be commentating, but he was double scheduled and ended up taking 2 p.m. one a day. So you're stuck with me. Sorry.
Yeah, and me.
Yeah.
My bad. My bad. So you have questions for me?
Yeah, we've got a couple.
Sure. What are the questions?
So, was there any time where like you came into the Water Temple the second time and you were just kind of like, I give up, I just need to go find iron boots, or were you kind of like devoted to just glitching your way through there?
Well, I was basically in go mode, and I thought I actually forgot for about a solid 40 minutes I can just clip in from the lab. I assumed in my brain I assumed the only way I could clip in was with the clip from Serenade. And it was, and basically I tried to go for bombs to get an easy water BK skip, and I never found them, so I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go there and take the risk and see what happens, and I I got water BK skip, but that was on the fly setup that I made to make that work. So.
Yeah, we saw you messing around with the Bombchus for a little while and having to like figure it out that way, but
Yeah, cut out there.
yeah, I'm trying to think of the next thing I needed to ask here.
I didn't have overboots, dude. That didn't help me at all. I just never went well. I didn't feel like it. Like, what happened is I did the Deku tree as child, my early route, and then like, when I checked the medallion, I realized that we had almost everything with the boomerang. So like, I realized that I think off like CAC, and then just started to decide like, okay, I'm not gonna do anything else. I'm just gonna rush the dungeons, and went for the bow and trials, and I got bow and bomb in trial. I was pretty lucky for that part.
Yeah, I think like really you both did the same exact route up until I think Dave went and did Jabu-Jabu, and Glitchy went and cleared up some more like severe like 0 and 1 checks.
So Glitchy, a lot of the glitches that you use, you know, such as the entrance point glitch in Water Temple, helped you, you know, accomplish the seed and win the seed. What was your first plan of action if something was locked? If, like, say, light arrows were behind something that needed the Megaton Hammer, what was your first going to be your first go-to? All right, I've got to go clear out this area to look for
Probably Shadow.
Shadow.
Yeah, because I wasn't really paying too much about the logic. I was just trying to focus, because I was actually really far behind because I was doing extra checks that I didn't need to do as a child. And I was trying to look for Bomb Bag to make that water BK skip easier, since I never learned it.
Do we actually know where was Iron Boot?
No clue.
I'm trying to get the spoiler log, but it seems to be the seed ID seems to be locked and won't generate a.
Okay. All wishes was in spirit. I'm sure of it. I thought it was in spirit. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Maybe
it was
not.
in spirit. I would have never ever went there. Then that would be a big fat waste of time, as I like to call it.
What would happen if like the light arrow was on the middle tower?
There's actually a strat you can do.
Oh, without Iron Boot?
There is a strat you can do. I kind of was going to do it, but I forgot it on the fly. Is a strat in all chests where you do a bomb clip OB and
yeah. I remember this one. You get pushed out the block. Yeah.
You get pushed out of the block, and I don't know really how to explain, but the water level in that area is the same throughout. All you have to do is like load the room properly, like while rising up, and you can skip the clam fight altogether. It's really simple.
Nice. Yeah. I'm still pretty happy with all I play. It's sick at the end. Look like I need to learn more my Water Temple.
So, as kind of a wrap-up question, if there was anything that you might want to practice for another race, what would be a trick?
A practice for a trick for another race? Well, to tell you the truth, probably everything, because I did not expect to have to do any of the tricks that I was going to do here. And it was a little scary, but it did end up working out.
Yeah.
And do you mind if I talk a little about how the seed went, or is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
So basically, my mindset was I went early adult. I found the hookshot. I knew I was in go mode, but I was also missing bomb bag and bow. Because, I mean, I can technically, if I didn't get the hookshot, I can just force myself into force as child and get the checks then. Even if it's, like, very barely slower, it's sometimes a good idea to at least try and take that risk. But I just did very extremely minimal checks in dungeons for the most part. And that's really what that's basically what I fully prioritize is low checks in dungeons, more checks in overworld. And when overworld was dry except for hover boots, I just said, you know what? I gotta go water, and I do that setup. I'm just repeating myself. But yeah, I could definitely use practice for the journey, and it shows that I absolutely, definitely need a good amount of practice. And I really appreciate, like, you guys commentating. And I just want to ask Dave, where were you when you forfeit?
I was in Spirit. I give up on Water Temple. Like, I wouldn't, like, I didn't have overboots, so I was like, oh, even if I get to like the Dark Link chest, there's a big chance it's not there. It's like it's behind that, and at that point, I was like, my best goal is just to go back and try to find overboots or anything that could help me. That's the pretty much the when I kind of give up because like I knew that after that, like trying to find anything is gonna like take a while, so. Yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, like I just got a little unlucky for that reason. Like I did some like strat and water temple, but there's so much I still need to learn. But in another way, like I don't feel like there's anything you can do to really like get ready like on what happened in this set. Like there's so many strat I need to like, learn on the fly. Like the clip in light trial with Bombchu, like I learned it like on the go. Like it took me like 5 minutes. There's a couple of stuff like that. I just needed to just look the video and try to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we saw in the previous race, like I think in like JFM, he sat there for I think a solid like 5 or 6 or 7 minutes, like YouTubing a couple of like setup videos for a certain trick.
I mean, it's part of the game. Like, I feel like being able to know which like video is good. Like what happened like trial, I was using a setup from Exodus, which was kind of old, but then I remember that my boy Blinny had another setup which was like really easier, which I got like after a few try, but like was really well like write it down like all to do. So just knowing where to look for the strat sometimes really helped. And there's a couple of like there's that, and there's also like the like Shadow Temple without the bow, like getting down the pillar. Like I didn't really remember, so I just tried to chicken line. Well, like it worked pretty well to the Water Temple.
And
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know, what's happening on Glitchy's screen right now is he's using a modified version of the Ocarina of Time ROM known as GZ, or the Practice ROM, where you have direct access to edit memory stuff, and he's spawning in giant Zeldas, wide boulders, and extra long.
I might admit that the cowl is actually failing to go to the correct size. That's kind of
Disappointing.
Yeah, it's just a little disappointing, but it's okay.
The cow shall be known as Disappointment Cow.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a pretty long boy, let's just say.
Might also be. It's also a giant boulder. Ironically, Disappointment Cow is what my friends called me all through high school. Anyway, so yeah, fun, interesting seed with kind of a trolley light arrows. Other than that, you guys had practically the exact same route for probably the first 45 minutes to an hour long.
Perfect. That means I'm playing good. Had a good idea. Alright, I'm gonna call it, guys. It's still been like 3 hours we've been playing, so I'm just gonna go.
All right then.
Thanks for the very entertaining race. GG to both of you. It was really close and it was fun to watch.
Alright.
Thanks again for allowing me to commentate, and I'll see you guys later. And thanks so much for allowing me to race, and thank you so much for allowing me to display practice ROM shenanigans on stream.
It's so fun. I love practice room stuff. All right. My name's Squiddy. and that's Ryan. And with that, I encourage you both to follow the very, very talented runners today. I put their links in the chat. Definitely go drop them a follow and say hi the next time they're live. Anything else you want to add?
Nope. I just appreciate everybody for watching, and I had fun. Thanks.
All right. I will. All right. Good night, guys.
Good night. Thank you, sir.